Good.
All right, good morning. We'll call this to order. This is the ad hoc Harwich Port Parking Committee. Recording and taping notification for all. As required by law, the town may audio or video record this meeting. Any person intending to either audio or video record this open session is required to inform the chair. First order of business. I'd like to have a motion to accept the meetings of the,
That is a typo.
yeah, I know it.
That should, so
The
you
five.
can't do anything
Can't do
on the
it.
minutes.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay,
That should have been 2/5/19.
right.
So there is no old business today.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just some of us.
Sorry about that.
All right. All right, for our new business, discuss exploring new partners for shared parking.
I love how you all look at me.
I didn't. I was writing.
I
What's this, the boys against the girls?
Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, you're the guru.
I guess, clearly.
Yeah.
So, I have started to reach out to some of the private parking businesses in the Harwich Port area after our meeting last week or 2 weeks ago. Have gotten approval for nightly parking is all right from one of the banks. I'm waiting to hear from the second one, and then I'll just kind of go down the line and reach out to everyone to just see, because we are in the process, as I mentioned, of making a new walking map that we do every year for Harwich Port that helps with the Port Summer Nights. So that's in process. What we're going to do is actually have codes on it. So it'll say public parking, and then there'll be ones for nighttime parking, employee parking. So there's going to be some differentiating between the different things once we've come up with all the blessings on everything. So that's where we stand so far. So I'll continue to
Thank
do that.
One thing I did forget to do, and I apologize, the committee has not introduced themselves. So if we may, starting on my left,
John Mahan?
Al Donahue.
Cindy Williams?
Sharon Greenhouse.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, question for Cindy. Did I hear you correctly that you said one of the banks was in agreement on that?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Excellent.
So it'll be an after 5 kind of thing, and we'll make sure that we promote it. And I have been given the blessing by them that we can do that.
Any discussion with the parking lot behind the new building downstairs, which everybody up there seems to share anyways? That's the old Dino's parking lot.
So, as I mentioned before, that was always perceived as public. It's not perceived, and in the negotiations of the developing of that, it was agreed to be private for that building, for the retail tenants as well as then the residential tenants. There was talk, and I'm not sure what'll happen with this year, regarding having a parking attendant to just make sure that the people parking there are parking for where they're supposed to, and that it's not public.
Yeah,
So-
that used to be shared parking, more or less, and it was just assumed to be.
It was assumed,
It was
right,
assumed,
and it,
yeah.
you know, and it-
Perceived as being public.
right, and so when those businesses that were there didn't get to have parking, well, that became an issue for them. So I know that, once again, the perimeter parking, Cape Cod, Cranberry Liquors gas spots there. And then,
You got 4 spots in the back, too. right?
right, yep, they have 3 along the building, and then
The real estate
4 or
office.
something. And then on the backs, on the left-hand side, when you're looking at it, is the Jack Conway and BYD parking, and New England Vacations, I believe, as well. So those are all accounted for. Anything in the center is going to be for those businesses, and rightfully so. I mean, I know we all get to be creatures of habit, you know, for a long period of time, but,
And for the tenants upstairs.
right. So, at this point, no, that's not gonna be. Certainly if no one's there, if there aren't tenants, I will reach out to the owner and see if we can do something for the season. But then, again, what's gonna happen is people are gonna get in their heads, okay, I can come back next year and I can park there. Well, then, so we just have to be careful with what we, where we do get to use. So I think taking them out of the mix is gonna be a smart one on this one.
Okay, Charlene, thank you very much for the little printout you did there on the
Yeah, my
Harbor
little
Masters.
parking. You should have seen what I went through to get that. I'm like, everything's
Yeah.
at a different scale.
I took a walk through it on the other day, just to take a second, a third, a fourth look at this.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Charlene, do you have any copies of this?
I do not, but I can share
I have
mine
one.
as long as
Oh,
you
I have
guys
mine.
do
I was,
that.
I was looking for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You want to peek at it. And it looks like some parking is actually on the building.
Yeah.
It's really not. The angle of the aerial photographs makes, there is parking behind there.
Well, currently, there's actually, on the building, there's actually boats
Yeah.
backed right up to the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just a really down and
Yeah.
dirty kind of plan to try and figure out, okay, is this gonna work? Because we, from a planning perspective and also from a environmental perspective, we don't wanna clear any more trees out of there. It's gonna be, and
No,
the
there's no-
status of the building is to come down at some point.
Pardon me.
Oh, I like your ringtone.
Yeah. This is another one of these phone calls that means absolutely nothing. Okay,
And I don't know, as far as the demolition of the building, I don't know when or if that's actually going to occur.
oh, really?
It's in somebody else's hands. I don't know what the status of that is.
I think the next question we need to go to the powers to be, and find out if it is it available this summer? And because when we go to make the presentation to the Board of Selectmen, we're gonna have to say, okay, this is our suggestion. We need to just make sure. So is that a Chris question? Mr. Clark question, sorry.
Actually, I think it would have to go to the
BOS.
BOS.
Okay.
My recommendation at this point is, if we're collectively figuring out some of these ideas,
Right.
is to bring them to the selectmen and say, one of the ideas is to have a shuttle for employees to the Bank Street lot, the old harbor master, the old fire station. And, it would need to be lined. Is it available this year,
Oh, yeah, because that just
We've
throws
come
this
up
whole
with the
plan
ideas,
into a,
So, but they are the ones who need to say, yep, let's move on this, and
And,
lining is not all that expensive, and I know Link is probably gonna be doing that shortly in other,
Right.
other
now,
lots.
may I defer that to my left?
Yes,
spoke to someone, Chris Nick this morning. The line painting company has a minimum $400 charge. They typically charge $20 per spot.
okay.
So if I did my quick math right, you're just south of $750. And that's them doing it, taking care of it, lining it, stripe it, whatever it's gotta be done, okay? And then I have a couple questions on that plan too, Mr. Chair.
Good. Mr. Mahan, go ahead.
Front left, Charlene, on the, where the 203 is, the very front left.
Yep,
There
spaces
is a-
out front,
there
there
is
is
a-
a ramp there.
There's a ramp there, so
Yeah.
you cannot, in my opinion, those two,
Yeah.
233.
that's just an accident waiting, at least one of them's an accident waiting to
Yeah, I
happen.
think you're gonna be able to fit at least 3 in front of
Yeah.
there. Again, this was a rough,
Sure.
without going out and measuring and doing all that, and,
I think parking on the ramp is probably not a,
yeah.
it's not that high, but somebody steps out of their car and doesn't
Right,
realize it's
right.
there.
And eventually, like I said, if that building comes down,
Yeah.
that's gonna be flat as a pancake.
Yeah, and this whole plan could change when and if the building comes down. Spots 29 through 25, they seem to be like it's almost parallel parking, is that just the way, the ones along the conservation area?
Yeah, those are
Parallel-
intended to be, oh, no, those are,
Diamond.
drive-in?
No, actually, yeah, those are, parallel parking, not perpendicular parking.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it would be front to back, front to back, front to back. Because it's not wide enough to get another perpendicular parking along that, that's actually the southerly border. There's just not enough backing room in there.
Okay.
I mean, if we did angled parking, you might be able to pick up something. Again, the guys who do the
I
lines.
was gonna say, we defer to the experts and let
Or,
them.
you know, this was just a quick, okay, can we make this work? Is it
Yep.
worth it? Are we only gonna get 10 parking spaces, or can we get more?
My concern with the parallel versus the pull-in is that that is where the people walking the conservation area park. And we all know parallel is a lot more difficult than just pulling in, getting out of your car and going for a walk. And I'm not, just an observation.
Yep.
Um,
One of the I thought about that as well, but one of the things I thought about is if we don't have lines there and people park, are they gonna get a ticket? Because they're not parking in a marked space.
Okay.
Me, I don't park in parallel parking unless I can drive head first into it, because I can't parallel park well.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are we considering putting any signs there reserved for people
I think
walking the conservation area? Because if, that's a pretty popular spot. If they get there and the lot's full, now we're gonna have a different issue. Just, again, thoughts. And those are my questions, Mr. Chair.
I guess I have a question for Charlene. If you know,
Yep.
the conservation area, are bicycles allowed in that conservation area?
Like mountain bikes, you know, like,
Right.
not
No,
not
I mean
motorized,
bicycles,
but,
bicycles.
I,
Can people bike
Never
through
seen
it?
one.
I don't know.
The only reason I asked the question, when I was up there the other day, I could see bike tracks going down into the conservation area. And since everybody and their cousin is biking these days, I just kind of thought somebody was taking a bike in there. And given the fact that, getting back to what you were saying, parking, getting into the conservation area, if it is allowed biking down there, and I don't know the answer, I think we might find there'd be more people trying to bike into that area, because it is kind of a nice area to bike in, which might add to
Yep.
another headache. All right, the other thing with regard to, now, is that lot going to be posted? Because you mentioned tagging in that parking lot.
I didn't say tagging, and if I did, I
Or do you
didn't
say
mean
getting
to.
a ticket?
Tickets. I don't know. I
I
mean,
gotta
this
say,
is still,
Yeah, right now it has
Yeah.
no restrictions on it,
right.
not at
Yeah.
all. And then if we're
oh,
looking-
it's very haphazard, but once you formalize a parking lot, it's, you know, if the lot near the chamber had no lines in it, people could just park and not get a ticket. But because it's formalized, and it's a town lot, you know, it's not for me to say, yeah, if you're not parked there, you're gonna get a
Right.
ticket,
Right.
or parked within lines.
Yeah.
So, yeah, once we go formal, we probably will be something like that. But again, where we're gonna try to designate this for employee parking, I think we might have a little bit more leniency on that, possibly.
This question's not on the agenda, but just going in the same direction you're talking here. Is it feasible to give those employees who are gonna use that lot some sort of a designation on their motor vehicle? And the one that had crossed was hanging, a lot of parking spaces have those things you hang off your mirrors, so that they know.
And
that-
those are easy enough to
Yeah,
create.
just to
Yeah.
distinguish them from other motor vehicles that may or may not be up in there. What I can sort of see happening is because, and again, getting back to the bikes, the other, I don't know exactly how this would be handled, but if we do have guests, tourists coming in, and they realize that this parking lot is there, and they come in with their 2 and 3 bikes and the children, unload their cars and say, wow, this is great, I can ride right down on my bike, or walk down to Harwich Port Center, or I can get up to the bike trail in a relatively easy manner.
I think if we can, we would have to have signage up there, employee parking.
Yeah.
so that anyone that is coming and sees an empty spot, they're gonna see that that is now,
Harwich Port
Harwich
employee parking.
parking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I know there's a couple of no parking signs, by the way, in the back of the building that are not being utilized, so for whatever that's gonna be worth. All right.
Thanks for that, John.
You're totally welcome. All right, to discuss the time frame for aligning the parking lot at the Harbor Master's Office building. We've already touched upon that. Discuss use of portable no parking signs on Pleasant Street. I was, see what the board feels about, we don't want any permanent parking signs, that's not going to happen.
No, I don't think you do, because I
no.
don't think the residents of Pleasant Street
No,
are gonna be very
absolutely
happy
not.
that all of a sudden, if they have company, they can't park.
Right, well, right now, there's, it's stable to the trees, I think, no parking during the events.
Right.
Which is not good for the trees. Please stop doing that.
But they do that on Wednesday nights,
It's on
correct?
Wednesday
And then
nights.
they take them down
Yep,
Thursday?
Yep, and then the police run around and take them down.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's still not good for the trees.
that's okay.
Unless there's
Oh, I
somewhere
mean,
else to
yeah,
hang
yeah.
it. I mean,
Oh, so you use
Yeah.
a plastic bag, you use paper bags and kill all the trees. Anyway, let's see. I just brought that up was primarily because, let me ask you gentlemen, and if one of you would just, I'd appreciate it if you would come to this call. The parking on Pleasant Street, which is legitimate parking by neighbors, is there much street parking at any given time? You doing your,
There's a fair amount when the landscapers come by. Other than that, not that much. There's some overflow. I've had guests when we had like
Sure.
6 people, 6 cars at our house, if some park in front for a brief time.
the
There's
reason I-
the street is fast. People motor down
Oh,
that
yes,
street.
yeah.
And the parking actually slows it down. I think I mentioned that last time.
because the landscape trucks is another issue, but they are more than likely going to be there during the period of time we're interested for the most part.
they're usually
for
there
events
early
now.
mornings. Like when I'm in the office around 7, I see a couple landscape trucks then. And I'd say you probably got them there till 3. So there's some overflow for sure.
Yeah.
That if, someone that thought they could park in, the town parking lot for the beach and doesn't, well, if they park on Pleasant Street, I don't know, it's, sometimes people find a spot where they find a spot.
Yeah, I only saw beach parking. I haven't been
Yeah.
like real attentive to it, but I've only seen beach parking there once, and that was during 4th of July.
Yeah.
And we really can't,
Yeah.
this isn't, no matter what we do, it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
It doesn't appear to be a problem right now. Definitely think the Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning, the way they're doing it is the best way, because we don't want to impede the people that live there.
Right.
We don't want to be giving tickets to contractors or whatnot. We have to kind of find a happy, Wednesday night appears to be the worst, and it appears, and it's only one side, I think I was
Right.
told, right?
Yes.
There's one night that they missed the signs. There's 2 sides, but
And they did both sides?
people parking both
Oh,
sides.
they didn't get
They
them
missed
up.
it, yeah.
But I think that's the way to go.
But
You don't
yes,
want- You
and-
don't want them during the day.
No, and they know. The police have been very good over the years to fine tune this, when we started to have people parking on both sides going out of the municipal parking lot, and now there's signs up on no parking, so that, the fire trucks can get in and out, so,
Is the no parking on the south side, so not on the side where the
Park-
sidewalk is?
The parking takes place on the south side.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
all right.
And that's strictly Pleasant. They don't, do they one-sided on Cross as well?
I don't think so.
no,
No.
no,
Did you get
not that I know of,
Yeah,
I've never seen them
Both
down
sides.
yeah.
there. Across- You're saying yes on Cross Street?
I think it's both sides in Cross Street, but I can't be sure.
That they put no parking signs on?
No, that they park on
no,
both
allowed.
sides.
Oh,
They
yeah,
do
yeah,
park.
yeah,
They do
yeah, there
park.
is
Okay.
parking on both
Because you
sides.
got businesses
Yep,
right now.
Not
Right,
sure
yep.
what happens at Miles.
Yeah, because there's
There are
businesses there as
businesses,
well as residents.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the portable no parking, we're gonna throw that out. That is not going to work. All right.
Could I just
Certainly,
mention
go
something
ahead.
about the shared parking? I'm concerned about signage for the shared parking. I think people driving into town who haven't looked at the map and are looking for, a place to go for the evening are going to want to see.
We're gonna have it on the website for the Harwich Chamber also,
I
so that, I
so-
mean, you'd be amazed at how many, hopefully you're not amazed, but, how many people do reach out prior to coming here.
I would be
to
amazed.
find out what to do, where they can go for this, that, and the other thing. So that's gonna be another thing that we'll do right away. Plus, we can have it, I mean, we can also have it available on the town parking, I mean, on the town website, parking available, I mean, I don't know, and we'll have to come up with, but the thing is, no one here, as I've mentioned, the chamber's a nonprofit, so I don't have a budget to be putting signs up all over town. Any of the locations that we do get shared parking, they're giving the okay that I can then publicize it. So we're going to then have a little thing on the chamber, parking available, and where it'll be, so.
So I don't think it has to happen all at once. Doesn't have to happen this one year, but downstream, in the reading I come across on the web, I'm just Googling stuff. They're always talking about wayfinding, and I guess that means putting up signs with a P and an arrow on it.
Yep.
And if there's none of that, or no sandwich boards, and the lots themselves say tow zone, it's a kind of a mixed message. It doesn't. Someone who's just driving through, who's staying in Dennis or staying in Brewster or something, just driving through for the
Right.
evening, they're not going to likely have looked up the information. So I'm just concerned about that. A few other points about shared parking. We talked about liability indemnification, but also enforcement. So to make something attractive to a lot owner, in order to make his lot available, they're going to want, I would think, I don't know, I would think they'd want to be sure that those spaces were available in the morning. And I don't know how it works, if the police can ticket on a private lot.
No.
So that has to be thought through, or at least discussed with the lot owners. And then finally, compensation. I think more people, I think the lot owners deserve compensation of some sort. If they're willing to do it for free, that's phenomenal. I mean, if
So this is gonna be a partnership kind of thing, is out of goodwill, it's,
No,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking,
No.
what you're talking about is goodwill. Oh, that's
Yes.
phenomenal. I mean, if you
Yes.
can do that, it's
Yeah.
great. So,
Yeah. The partnership that I have with the different businesses in town, it's kind of like I'm asking favors to be able to, can we do
That's-
this?
that's awesome.
Kind of thing,
That's
so,
absolutely awesome.
yeah, I
But
mean,
so but
the
if-
town nor the chamber are in any position to be putting out money to pay for this. So it's kind of like, this is a betterment of all of your businesses, your fellow businesses in town. Are you willing to help us out with after 5 parking?
okay, that's wonderful. I think the lots you were talking about will double the parking availability in the evenings, so that's awesome. But I'm concerned about the enforcement, that it's a possible issue that could come up, and the signage, I think is a big one.
My thought on the enforcement is, I think it's a wait and see.
Right.
I think if it does, if it doesn't become an issue, let's not make it one. You're gonna have the occasional person that might have went to Ember or the stove and decided he better not drive his car home. That's not a bad thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think I think it's valid, but it's a wait and see what happens. Signage, I think this is an education. Cindy has mentioned that, I think, at every meeting, not only for the private parking, but for the chamber lot, in the shuttle for the employees. The more we can do through education and paper and maps, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of putting up a bunch more signs. And how do you put a sign at the front of Cape Cod 5 that says parking, but then on the bottom of it, you have to put only from X to Y on A, B, and C?
Sandwich boards come up temporary?
No.
No, that's not
Okay.
gonna happen.
No, that's why I'm looking
And
at,
the only reason I'm gonna say no on the sandwich boards is she already knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know.
We've already got a challenge there, we're
Okay.
working on to clear up so that it's safe, so, no.
That's a good one.
I would have thought the same thing too.
And the other
Oh,
thing,
that one, no, that one's gotta be an easy
No.
one.
and quite honestly, with the bank parking.
Just clean those up.
Yeah, there isn't a sign when you enter the bank saying parking for bank only, it's
Right.
only when you get in.
When you get, and it's all,
there's some-
yeah, they just have,
Yeah.
you know, parking for it, but,
You know, this process we are going through now is a learning process for everybody, including the community. So what's going to happen, if and when this does get implemented, whatever it is we do eventually come to the Board of Selectmen with, and whether they accept it or not, that's an entirely different story. But these things always get tweaked. And what happens is that with regard to the police department, they're going to make that determination at somewhere down the road whether cars should be ticketed or not ticketed, and that's not in our purview. They're gonna make those decisions at a later
and they
date.
also, I mean, if, someone did happen to leave their car overnight, I have this happen the weekend of the road race that we do. And, I mean, I go down there at 4:30 in the morning and take the barrels and put the whole thing around and work with the police. Actually, at 2 in the morning, a couple of the guys help me out. Every year, there's one or two, and they can go into their little computers and figure out who it is and locate them and then get the car removed. So there's ways we can do it, but there may be one or two that it does happen. But we'll just have to take it case by case.
All right.
We talked about the education, Mr. Chair. I know you do the map, Cindy. I don't believe when people buy a beach sticker or a dump sticker, that they're getting that same map because it's not at the chamber.
Right.
So maybe that's something when they go to the community center.
Sure.
Or here at the town hall to get it, that's handed out with the stickers.
Okay.
That whatever map that they provide. Because the more people that know about it, the better. That's the bottom line.
Right.
It doesn't take any time to,
No.
here's your sticker and here's a map.
Right.
Getting back to our municipal parking lot, probably unless, I'll ask Charlene about it, because she's very on top of the minutes and what we speak about. If I can squeeze it in, if not, you tell me so.
Let me just get this last. Now I'm being watched, I'm typing terrible.
Hey, better than me.
I'm gonna, while Charlene's typing, okay, never mind, because she's done, so now I was gonna try to help buy some time. Tap dance.
Shut up.
Yeah, the town lot.
Yeah.
Is there any thought, and can I mention it now, or should I put this back on for next meeting? The use of a kiosk down there.
Funny you mentioned that, because Cindy and I offline have been discussing that. I don't think it's an impossibility. I think for this year, the money involved may not be a good idea. One of the conversations we had, and I don't wanna steal your thunder, cause you're the one who thought of it, the first, couple hours is free. If you go over that, you have to pay.
I mean, I've
So-
never been, I know in the parking study that happened 10 years ago or whenever, have never loved the idea of meters, but the kiosks are a little bit more glamorous and don't look so uninviting. They might even talk to us, I'm not quite sure yet. But,
They do.
Some of them do, some of them talk back.
but the idea of something like that may not be a bad idea. I have reached out to a couple companies. I'm waiting to hear from one of my partners in another chamber where they have some, to see what company they use, to just see, and to get a quote as well. Because, as Charlene said, they are somewhat costly, but I think it might have been John, when we were talking about solar. So there are other options too that we need to just research. So maybe for the next meeting, I can have some more research done and have for everyone for the packet that we reviewed
Okay.
then.
What some communities do with larger lots, and I don't think we'd get any interest because this is a small lot, is they actually do a request for proposal and say, we want you to manage our parking lot. They're responsible for the kiosk. They have somebody who is in turn allowed to ticket You know, and they take care of it on a private level, and they get a portion of, you know, the proceeds to monitor that. In a 70-plus lot, you know, space lot, I don't think you're gonna find a company that's really gonna, we're talking, you know, parking spaces with hundreds, if not thousands of
Yeah.
parking
Yeah,
spaces.
no.
You know, it's interesting on that same topic, Charlene, I was at the Ocean Street docks on Saturday,
Mhm.
specifically to check and see what they have.
Yeah.
Because it seems to work well.
Light
Yeah.
he's got them.
I know, right.
Within a tenth of a
Then he
mile,
calls me,
they
though,
have 4
and he's-
kiosks,
Yeah.
Send me pictures.
which blew me away.
Yeah,
I mean, because it is, I don't know how many spots there were,
Yeah.
but I was just shocked to
Yeah.
see that many in
Yeah.
that short.
you know, as somebody who rides a motorcycle, and the ones where you get the little ticket and put it on your dashboard, well, that doesn't work. The kiosks actually work. In Plymouth, there's 2 separate lots. One we can park at, one we can't, because we can't put the little ticket on the, but you just say, oh, I'm in space number 21, boom,
Right.
so.
There is a company known as Flow Bird System. I just happened to be online looking it up the other day. I don't, yeah, Flowbird Systems, and it's, the company's name is Parkeon, Parkeon Company. They have kiosks that put your card into it, your credit card, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours on your credit card. I guess which has become fairly common as well, you know. It just seemed to be something that could be looked at by us and the powers to be. That's where it's gonna come from. Because it might take some of the pressure off the lot. Now, because, and I think Charlene is absolutely right, the merchants downtown are going to want people not having to park for a fee, which is extremely reasonable.
Yep.
So that 2 hours, you know, it just seems like something that, if there's a way to get that in, and the other thing is you have brought up, because it's only 70 parking spaces, it may not be of any great interest to, you know, a company to expend that kind of money. Thus, there'd have to be a cost analysis done on it anyway, to see if it's even worth for the community to do it,
Yep.
you know.
I mean, one of the arguments that I've heard is, oh, if we charge for parking, people won't come. Well, the rest of the world, you pay for parking, quite honestly. You know, you go to Provincetown, boy, do you pay for parking. You know, Hyannis, not so much. That used to be a paid parking lot. The North Street lot, years and years ago. That, I mean, I remember.
But
Behind
that-
Puritan?
Behind Puritan,
Yeah.
I
Really?
remember paying for parking back there.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, there's been some communities have moved away from it in certain areas. I do know at that parking lot for a while, they were having problems with people parking to go to the ferry, because it, you know, wasn't that big a walk, and I don't know how they ended up.
They have a
handling it.
12-hour max, the sign now says 12-hour
Okay.
max,
Okay,
and they charge $1 an hour, which blew me away.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty inexpensive when you're talking
Right.
P-Town or Boston
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
wherever else you're traveling
exactly.
to.
I mean, there's the lot, in Chatham over down at Stage Harbor. And that is actually a resident-only parking lot. And it says ticket $25 if you park here without a permit. And, you know, we'll be down there just hanging out, watching, you know, boats and stuff, and somebody will park, and my husband will go, hey, you know, you're not supposed to be parking here without a permit. They're like, oh, we're gonna get charged just $25?
Exactly.
We'll pay the ticket.
I'm thinking the same thing.
You know,
That's right.
because they're used to paying.
Yes.
You know, $25 an hour for
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah.
That's why we have to look at what the
Yeah.
fee structure would be, because, you know, we're trying to do this for a couple of reasons, so.
If it's cheaper to park, and I know where Cindy's going, if it's cheaper to park at the Chamber Lot and go to the beach
Then
than
get
it
your
is to
beach
buy it.
permit,
But
yeah.
the difference is at Bank Street, you can't buy a ticket.
You have to buy a week's sticker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're a visitor, unless you're a
Yeah.
resident, but yes, so, you know, we need to look at all pieces of the puzzle,
Yeah.
on it and what we're trying to accomplish, so,
Yep. But this will be on the next agenda, right?
yes.
Yes, it will be. And while we're thinking about it for the next agenda, this kiosk, since we it brought up here for the next agenda, possibility including the beaches in it, to make it more feasible cost-wise, if the selectmen are interested in order to offset the costs and possibly the community making some money, using a kiosk for Bank Street Beach and for Red River. Because Red River,
You wouldn't affect the parking lot where I am. You wouldn't,
no,
yeah.
what I'm just suggesting though, that the cost of having a company come in, the 70 parking spaces would be something that may dissuade them from even coming,
Right.
thinking about it. But if we added the other parking spaces to it and made it a reasonable, now, I go down to Red River Beach, and do I want to pay to park down there? The answer is frankly, no. Will I pay to park down there? Yeah,
But you get a beach sticker, right?
I do.
Okay, so you have paid for parking.
That's true. I'm sorry, I shoot myself in the head right now. But I have, and you have, I suspect, and all of us have, I've been down there when the traffic is backed up on both roads coming in, as people are, it's almost like Christmas shopping at a plaza. You're trying to find a parking space. The kiosk issue might benefit the community as a means by which, because people, as you have just stated, are more willing to pay a ticket. And I could even see the eyebrows rise down here too, talking about a $25 ticket, which is basically ho-hum to some individuals. So we'll bring it up the next agenda.
Okay.
All right.
Next
Oh.
agenda.
Yeah, okay. All right, we write it down.
We're down to discuss date for review of
Yes.
final report and submission date.
Exactly. The reason that's on here is because we're talking about, we are now at the end of February. For all intents and purposes, we are at the middle and the lower end of February. March is going to go by like a rocket. Time is going to be needed for the board, the selectmen, to come up with a decision. And can the board give me an idea as to what they feel is a date that would be sufficient enough to get the answers regarding when the spaces will be available up on Bank Street? What the likelihood of getting the funds to do the parking lot, the lining of it, pulling all of our thoughts together, submitting it to the, now, this will be submitted to them in writing, or is it going to be done as a presentation before the
Both.
board? Okay,
What the charge says is the committee will meet at sufficient intervals to
Right.
submit a report no later than May
30
15th.
May 15, okay.
Yep.
Now,
To me, May 15 seems late.
that's exactly what I was gonna say, especially where I'm gonna be producing a map. I would say we gotta do it early April,
How about the first, what's the first Tuesday in April?
first Monday. Well,
Monday,
you
I'm
need-
sorry.
Yeah,
I
don't have
will
a-
not be here.
You can't do that.
I'm gonna be out from March 28th through at least the first 2 full weeks in April.
Okay.
so the first Monday is April 1st, we're not doing it then.
No.
That's got bad mojo.
Exactly. So
Feel
you've got
like
either
that.
the 8th or the 15th. And we,
The 15th, by the sounds, April 15 work for
Yeah.
everybody?
Why do we,
That's the
I don't
holiday.
know, I don't know. Pardon me?
So they'll be meeting on the 16th.
that's Patriots Day.
16th, that's right, too.
Why are we not doing it on the 8th?
Charlene
Not
won't
gonna
be
be
Charlene's
here.
away, that's right.
I don't know if I'm gonna be back on
And
the
now that you say that,
15th.
I'm away that week too.
Yeah.
So, could we back it up into the month of March?
What's the last?
It's all gonna be dependent on Cindy getting
The information.
cooperation,
Right.
I'm not gonna say, because I don't wanna put it all on you,
What
cooperation
you
from,
just did.
well, that's why I said cooperation from the merchants to
Exactly.
get the numbers. If they don't give numbers, we're at a
Right,
standstill.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna back it up so
Right.
much, because I don't want you under any pressure.
That's what I was-
So,
Because they're not gonna be opening their businesses up until, well, you tell me, is it? if they
so
come in-
I'm actually planning on doing a meeting with Harwich Port, March 5th, I believe it was going to be. So if we do March 25th, I'm fine with it. How's that work for you?
I will be here.
All right, let's go with March 25th.
Okay.
There's a wrap it up type of meeting to
That's
prepare for the,
Well, I
No,
think-
that would be our presentation to the board.
Okay, so we gotta work back from that. So we would have to get something to them by the Wednesday before that.
Okay.
But we should let them know even before that, that
Okay.
we want to be on the agenda for the 25th.
So let's see,
oh my God,
so
That week's gonna be,
Wednesday, March 20th is when we would have to let them know,
and we'd wanna let them know earlier than that,
right?
just with a,
Or on,
you
for
know,
agenda
yeah.
25th. So prior to that, the week prior, I could meet with Julie and just discuss and see if that would be feasible.
Well,
Or
I
do we
don't
do a
think we need to
public?
talk about feasibility. I think it's just, hey, we're ready to
This is-
give
okay.
our report. And maybe we call it a preliminary report. If
No,
they,
because they have to decide, they have to, only because then there's gonna be a whole other group of things that have to happen, educational purposes of getting
no, I
out.
realize that, but one of my concerns is, well, we don't like any of your suggestions, go back to the starting board. I'm hoping they won't say that, I don't think they will, but, you know, stranger things have happened.
I just wanna, I'm concerned the debt is way too aggressive from your standpoint.
Well, the March 5th, I'm meeting with the merchants.
You may get this.
Well, no, I'm, with what's gonna be on the agenda for that,
Is that a chamber meeting with the
yes, it
merchants?
is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just
So
trying to
on
make
the
sure that
ballot.
you're not under too much.
No, because by March 5th, that's our meeting. So then, that following week, we should probably have a meeting.
Frankly, we may want to be meeting, you know, set it up that we're actually meeting weekly until that time, just so we can keep it going, and we can do this piece at a time. We know we want to do Bank Street, the old Harbor Master
Yes.
Firehouse. We know we want to do that, so that's one part of our report to them. We know, and I think we want to just back the idea of continuing the parking, the portable no parking signs on Pleasant Street. I mean, there's not really anything we can do with that.
Right.
But just that we are very supportive of the continued, you know, no parking on one side of the road, particularly on, and maybe we need to look at
And the
other
reasons
roads.
for it.
And the reasons for it. You know, maybe we should talk about Cross Street only being one side of the road.
I think that already was, when they redid some lines from George's, like where the stop sign is and how far back. I think that's
Yeah.
already been on the radar, and what they ended
Okay.
up doing is what it's gonna be.
But
if
it's
I
only
remember.
20 feet, I believe. It's
Yeah,
20
it is,
feet
20 feet from the
from
intersection,
the
Yeah.
intersection.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a short 20 feet. Because I
Yeah.
looked at it, I was like, wow,
And that happens to be the state law too,
yeah.
20 feet,
Yeah.
yeah.
So to get to your point, and I appreciate that, I think in order to get all this done, I mean, where I'm gonna have a captive audience and what's on the agenda I have with them, they're all gonna come.
Yep. And also, you don't need me at a meeting particularly. That first meeting in April, I'm gonna be useless. I have to have some surgery, so I'm gonna be useless that first week. The second week, if I need to come to a meeting, you know, if you guys really, you know, I probably can be there. I won't be at work, but I can, you know, be there to go, yep, what they said. You know, so I'm happy to,
Yeah, I
you
don't
know, do
expect
what
there
I
to be any
can.
real technical questions on
Yeah,
it.
no.
I'm just thinking, April, I'm gonna be away, one week, in April, I'm gonna be away as well, I think
Yeah.
that's the end of April.
So, I mean, you know,
Do we go for April, do we go for,
The 16th?
for the, now, when are you gone?
I'm gone the 2nd through the 9th.
Okay, so.
Which I kept track of when I'm
So either the 1st or the 16th, probably
Yeah.
shoot for the 16th.
The
then.
16th, I don't like the April 1st thing.
Yeah, then I would shoot for them. I know, I
There's
already did,
just-
that's got bad mojo.
You know, I'm sorry,
Superstitious.
sometimes I'm superstitious, that one, just give me a red flag, sorry, guys.
So, yeah, I think the 16th is a good idea.
So let's go backwards from there
Yep, so we would
to,
need,
to today.
yep,
April 16th is the BOS,
yep.
Yep.
so we'd have to let them know.
Which is basically is 8 weeks from today, if I'm doing my math right.
Because it's gonna be a Tuesday night because of Patriots.
Yeah.
Day.
Right, and so that means it has to be on their agenda April 10th, so we need to talk with someone.
And I mean, from
And
some of
from-
the things we've already discussed, we can start, I'm happy to start putting together a draft report for this committee to look at.
Great idea.
Yep.
I know I won't get anything done for next week, but certainly for the week after,
Okay.
if that is the committee's pleasure.
Yes. I
So
think
for-
we're in
Yeah, absolutely.
agreement on that.
For
yes.
April,
Okay.
for, March,
Because if you're
oh,
waiting for me to
March
put a
5th.
presentation together, it's gonna be on a piece of paper and a pen.
Yeah, no, mine will be nice and neat.
We know that.
I compliment her on it every single week.
So work towards,
So my meeting with the merchants is March
And
5th, which is when we would technically meet on a Tuesday. Can we make our meeting that week,
Good.
the Wednesday instead, the 6th, in the morning, same time and everything? I want to have all the information for you guys.
So you want a meeting on Wednesday, the 6th of March?
If we could
We
instead
meet on the
of
12th.
March 5th.
The 12th is a Tuesday?
that
following week.
should work.
We meet on the 12th. It gives you some time to put everything.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I thought we started saying we were going to have to meet every week.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't
because
know if we have that much of an agenda.
Can I
every
see
I,
the
week.
that's
calendar?
exactly what I was thinking, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure that we,
Okay, so March 12th being the next meeting.
No.
No, no, no.
No, I think we want to do, can we do March 6th as the next
That's what I
meeting?
just said.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, I know you do. And what I can do is work
What was
on
the next meet, I'm sorry.
the draft report. That'll give me the rest of this week and pretty much all next week. We would need to post the agenda by, the 26th, but that's okay, but I don't need to get you the paperwork. Even if I get it to you like on that Friday, you'll have until
Right.
the 6th to review it.
Okay. But getting back to what John was saying with regard to weekly meetings, I'm not certain, based upon our current discussions, that we haven't enough to do it weekly.
Yep.
That'd be almost 6 meetings if I'm
Yep.
doing my
Yeah.
quick math correct,
Yeah.
and I don't see us.
Yeah.
What do we have on the agenda for
Well,
next
one
meeting?
mathematician today, I'll tell you that.
Well, we've
Get your phone out.
got more conversation on the kiosk.
The kiosk,
Yes.
we can then do
Also
the
review
partners with
Partners
shared.
update,
The 2-hour.
Okay.
yep, the draft plan thus far.
And then E, we could do the discussed timeline for businesses, so that by then I will have had more information from them as
Yeah.
well.
Okay. Do you want to throw in the, for the next meeting, with regard to, obviously, Bank Street Beach? Do I get a feeling we probably shouldn't be talking about Red River?
I don't think so.
No,
For the kiosks?
Yeah,
I don't think at this point we
No.
should.
no.
Somewhere down the road,
I
probably.
think
Yeah.
That'll
Red
be
River
somebody
just
else's
I don't
purview.
see
And it
it.
may
Yeah.
be, in the report, it may
Yeah.
be that, the board, a recommendation is perhaps an avenue to look towards is, kiosks at other
Yeah.
town beaches.
Future, yeah.
But, that's just
not for this project.
No.
yeah.
No. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we decided March 6th is our next meeting.
Yep,
So it'll be the draft plan, the kiosks, the companies that are available for that
Mhm.
type of,
update on partners?
Yep.
yeah. Now, not that you need any assistance in virtually anything, because this is your bailiwick as far as Do you feel comfortable with the merchants on your own?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
another reason why I'm having that March 5th meeting.
Okay.
And that, so you don't have an update on the timeline for businesses to provide us with final numbers?
Not
That'll-
today,
okay.
that's gonna be on
Yep.
the March
say-
12th, that'll be on the March 6th meeting.
Yep.
All right. Plus the Bank Street lining and removal of the boats.
That's priority number one right now, is
Yeah,
getting
we're
a
not-
firm date on
Yeah.
that.
Firm date from the harbor master,
Yeah,
because we can't do a thing unless he can give us a firm date.
I will try and reach out with John.
So we're meeting on the 6th, and then do we go to the 20th, Mr. Chair?
Or back to a Tuesday.
Yeah. All right, so.
So then that'd be the
April
19th.
March 19th.
And then we reassess.
That
if we need
means
to
you'd like to have the agenda to be printed for the 20th of March? Is that what you were saying, the agenda for the Board of Selectmen?
No.
They have to have,
Or the report, I should
the
say, not the
agenda
agenda.
item and all the information the Wednesday prior to
Okay.
at noon. I would suggest, and we meet with Chris periodically, and I see him all the time, just to say, hey, we'd like to be on this agenda. And they'll just put a little flag in their file that, you know, we want to be on
Okay.
the agenda for the 16th.
So that's the Wednesday before the 16th, whatever that is, April
20th.
before.
Oh, April, I'm sorry.
That would
It'll
be
be the-
March, oh, no, that would be April 10th.
April 10th, yeah.
So March 6th, March 19th, and April 10th are next meeting dates. And if we need to meet for some reason, all we need is 48 hours, so we're fine
Right.
in that respect. And the report will go out as a Word document, so even if I'm not here to be able to finish it before then,
Okay.
you guys can hammer it out and get it
Sure.
completed.
So
Don't
now
forget,
we,
if you have it on the 10th, somebody else is gonna have to do the meeting minutes.
See what Sheila's doing.
Yeah, we'll borrow somebody.
so right now, we have the 6th, the 19th, that's all we have for definitive.
And April
And April
10th.
10th.
6/19.
April 10th is another meeting,
Yes.
Yes.
and that's a when? Is that a Tuesday?
Are you here?
I'm away, no.
Oh, wait a minute, no.
No, I don't,
You wanna meet
April 10th's the day we have to have it on the
Yeah, can I
agenda
see
with the
your
BOS
calendar
by.
again?
So,
So if you're meeting no, you wanna meet April 3rd.
Mr. Chair requests we meet the,
Okay,
A
that's
week
that's a
earlier.
Wednesday, 8/3.
Yep. You won't be here,
you-
and I won't be
Can we
here.
meet the week before then?
that's March.
Meet the
That'll be-
19th and
well,
the
we get back-
26th.
It's back into March on the 26th of March, which was what we, okay.
Yeah,
Right, that way
that's
we-
fine.
We're meeting March 3, March 19th, and then again on the
No,
20th.
March
No,
6th.
sixth.
Sixth, I'm
19 and
sorry,
March
not 26th.
26th. How many times have you scribbled that out?
Sorry, don't,
When you get it straight, let us know, okay? Excuse me.
Okay. And that's all at 10:30, so I
Yep.
will reserve the room.
by the 26th, there's a good chance we may have this
Mm-hmm.
wrapped up.
I hope so. Yeah.
So why not? Big thing's gonna be merchant numbers and a firm number when, a firm date on when that Bank Street lot's gonna be available.
Right.
Those are the two unknowns right now.
Yes.
So, getting back to this, a lot of it's falling on you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable with this
I'm good.
timeline?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she also knows, until I'm gone, that she can reach out to me and
Okay.
go help.
Gave her an out.
I got it.
All right.
Okay.
All right, any further business from the committee?
No, sir.
All right, I'd like to have them make a
Motion to
motion.
adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So closed.